Are you sitting comfortably? Then we'll begin.
Everybody, welcome to something new around here. We're calling it Weekend Update, and it's going to be a look at the week's news and events from the perspective of us, the hosts, what we care to share. So you've got Dunk with us, you've got Commander McMillan with us, you've got Nick Suter from In Time with us, and you got Dave Orley with us as well. We might be having Slavi join us. I know she wanted to, but over time, you know, one person may be busy one week, another person might join as a guest, but the idea is somebody will present a news story, something that they're actually interested in, and then we'll all kind of chit chat around the table, and when that story's done, we move on to the next. And by the end of it, you should know something that you needed to know. At least we hope.
Or maybe not.
Yeah, well, it could. You never know. Could be.
Well, I mean, you know, in a week that's seen the entire Western world inexorably skip towards chaos and doom, what's been everyone's, you know, somebody want to kick off with their favorite story, the top story, maybe? I wonder what it could be.
Well, I didn't roll the dice before the show, and it came up Nick Suter. Do you want to go first, buddy?
Sure. So my story sort of encompasses a number of different stories, and I thought would be just an interesting one to talk about and think about, which is that, as everybody probably knows, not assuming a U.S. audience, but Charlie Kirk, who was a far right-wing influencer and very popular, had a follower of 14 million people, was shot and killed while at a speaking event in Utah at a Utah university. Now, one of the things that has happened is, aside from a tremendous amount of outrage and civil war trending and all of these other things, is a Laura Loomer, who is a right-wing nutcase in Trump's circle, has called for the doxing of anybody who says that this was a good thing, who supports it, or says anything even remotely controversial, other than condemning all assassinations, which I do agree that everybody should condemn it. We've condemned it. But what's interesting is a website which is claims it is not a doxing website and is anonymous, has come up, and it claims to have received 30,000 posts already so far where people can complain about coworkers. They can complain about social media posts where they say somebody has said something derogatory about either Charlie Kirk or positive in support of the assassin. This goes along the lines of a man by the name of Felker Martin, who is draws comic books and was drawing the new what was it? He was drawing the new Red Hood, the what is it? Sort of Robin Hood, but when he sort of goes off onto his own. So he was drawing for DC Comics. He had a deal with DC for a whole series, and they canceled it when he tweeted, quote, "Hope the bullets are okay." Yeah. Wow. So
that's a tough one.
that's a yeah. You gotta So at any rate, I thought it was interesting to discuss. This site has been condemned. A lot of people are saying, "Well, golly gee, you shouldn't be actively looking for people who are, maybe just saying something crass and shouldn't be." But on the flip side, the left has done this too. When
there is now a website that has a list of people who are condemning that website.
It'll be oh god. So that's it. That was the one I thought was worth talking about. Is how far is too far? They're encouraging people to and since you can fire in most places employees for just about any reason unless there's a contract that has a clause, a termination clause. Free speech, the private organization is not the same thing. So the question is, how far is too far? People are now reporting and getting fired for it. I do find it a little hypocritical because the right has been very much about free speech and people shouldn't be fired if they say things that are transphobic or X, Y, or Z, but now they're saying people, should be fired for saying, and anyways, that's it. That was the story I brought.
I mean, especially considering there's a lot of, high-level Republicans laughing in the face of Pelosi when he got his face caved in by a hammer.
Yes. Which is the other, they keep talking about all this violence towards the right, and it's like, have you forgotten two Democratic local House representatives were attempted assassination. Actually, it was going to be about 20, but they caught him after 2. So, and then Pelosi, of course, and then nobody. There were rumors, the conspiracy theories that the right was encouraging, like it was Pelosi's husband's gay lover who was there to this was a thing.
Wow.
So, but now they're perfectly happy to put up a website, and obviously, I think the Hope the Bullet's okay comment and a bunch of other ones are obviously should be strongly discouraged and or condemned. But having said that, the right has been a champion of you should be able to say things like that and not be fired. So
yeah, and it's also very, very tricky because Charlie Kirk was quite outspoken about violence to get whatever it is he wants in his movement. He was all about violence, and he also he famously said guns and freedom and all that kind of stuff. It's you need to have gun deaths for to keep the Second Amendment and all this kind of stuff. So yeah,
this highlights the hypocrisy of the right, which is the whole it's okay if we do it, but if you do it, it's bad.
Yeah, seems to have been a lot of
There's
that going
so
on.
many things that are like that about them.
Yeah,
and when you start adding all that up, isn't the message clear? It's you're not doing it what we want and stuff so bad. That's, how else can you take it? But Nick, do you see this split with the Charlie Kirk, the politicizing of it and stuff getting worse and worse? Do you see amplification coming here?
If by split you're talking about the split between the left and the right, absolutely. Civil War has been trending. When it turned out that his family was actually a MAGA family, that put a damper on it. And then people have been sort of trying to reignite that with he was dating a trans person, he voted for Biden, he this, and that. Let's assume all of those things are true. We don't know yet, but let's assume for a second that those are true. The momentum was dramatically interrupted by and there are people who are going to continue to take advantage of the momentum. The problem is it's a lot like playing chicken, but when I say chicken, I mean like the old style chicken, not the two cars heading towards each other, but the two cars each heading towards a cliff.
Yes.
They're both going to the cliff, and whoever is the first to stop loses. And the problem is the Democrats and the Republicans are each in a car. And right now, the Republicans are doing, and the Democrats do this, but in my view, conveniently enough, to a lesser degree. But it's sort of like, well, we're not at the cliff yet, so let's keep pressing that gas, man, because we get more money, we get more revenue, more people join our site when we sit there and have all this moral outrage. Never mind the fact that at some point, and this is what happened in the 2008 collapse, which was everybody was like, well, we know we're selling bad products. And we know the economy is going to collapse at some point, but we're making if we keep doing it.
Yeah.
But we're making so much money. So let's just keep doing it and we'll stop right before the economy collapses. The problem is nobody knows what that's going to be.
It's easy to know you went a little too far, but not before, right?
Exactly. So both parties are going towards the cliff. I think the left as just happens to be, each side is different. You can't sit there and say they're the same. And one of the things of being liberal is to try to be tolerant of other people's points of view. And there's the complaint, which is often true, which is liberals can be so tolerant that they tolerate intolerance, and they tolerate the right. Now, the right is less likely to tolerate the left than the left is to tolerate the right. So they're not equal. And what's happening right now is a amplification of the social impacts of this in a way that you will find the left doing, but in a much muted, like 20 to 40% as much as what you're seeing here. They do it. When that car crashed when Charlottesville happened, yep, they did it. They absolutely did it, but not on a scale like this. And it's a little scary to see. Commander, as a fellow American, I'm curious if he's feeling the tension himself.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And the thing that gets me about this is Kirk kind of repeatedly changed his tune to whatever happened to get viewership. And so he said a lot of things that pissed the right off too. And they're all conveniently forgetting about those right now. So it's
Epstein. Sorry.
Have you got a cold?
It's just this strange sense of, we need our Horst Wessel martyr so we can go beat up some more communists in the street sort of thing.
Now,
he was very pro the Epstein release. A lot of people give him credit for that all the way up until now. But no, he stopped several months ago. He met with the president of the United States, and then he stopped. And that's part of why the momentum on the Epstein release, the Epstein MAGA, has burnt out on that. And as soon as MAGA didn't care about that as much, he went and sided with his buddies, who was Trump, Vance, and all the others, instead of the release. So he was he pulled a Kash Patel. Oh my God, we're going to release those files because everybody has a right to know, and all this other. What? Who's in them?
Yeah.
What files?
Yeah.
Hey, how dare you? So,
yeah. So flip this around now, and the exact opposite question: is there enough anti-hate and anti-violence movement, discussion, and so on going on in America to get in between the two and say, no, you're not fighting, this isn't happening?
No.
Nope.
Not without luck. I think with luck and a charismatic person on the left to come up and say, "Hey, wait a minute," or on the right. But I think it's going to take luck, which does happen sometimes. Sometimes you get lucky. I mean, Trump is also the product of luck. In our case, bad luck. But there's had luck not turned in his direction, he might not have made it as far as he did. So
Yeah, that sperm wouldn't have got halfway there with his family genetics, man.
I did see some Republican governor or senator or whatever on the news basically saying, this political violence has got to stop. He's got friends on the Democrats and Republicans, that they're not animals, they're not killers. This has just got to stop, and we got to bring things back. But there are people saying it. Whether or not anybody's going to listen.
I read the same one you did, and he made an excellent point, which was that what he said was, we have to stop saying radical leftist. We have to stop saying it. They are a radical. There are radicals on the right. There are radicals on the left, and both sides condemn both of them. We don't want the violence, so we should just call him a radical. That's it. Doesn't matter whether he's on the left or the right. And I thought that was, but I don't think that's going to get very far. And I think Commander's correct, which is really, there's nothing that's going to stop this short of a lot of work, which I don't think people are that interested in putting in, and some luck coming in from somewhere. Something happens that unites us against either another enemy. If a 9/11 were to happen, all of a sudden, boom, we're gonna, but short of that.
The main reason I don't think anything's likely to change and that the divisions will just grow deeper is because there is too much profit, both monetary and political, to perpetuate and accelerate and deepen those divisions.
That's a very good point.
Also, what Nick says about 9/11, I would imagine that, if you had like another situation like 9/11, even with a Muslim shouting Allah Akbar, down through speakers or whatever, they'll probably still turn around and say, well, look, the bloody radical left and Joe Biden and Obama, it's all their fault. I wouldn't be at all surprised if that happened.
Agreed.
Well,
I wouldn't be surprised if it happened, but
they'll point at the pro-Palestinian protesters on campuses and say, see, the left is advocating terrorism. That's why we had this attack.
Yeah.
That's
So, what do you guys think? Shall we switch it to the next one? Anybody else want to have a go on that?
And now for something mildly different.
Hey, we need a worked on version of that. Good show. Good show. Commander, what do you think? You want to step up?
Sure. I've got a couple items. I'll do one and then try to pick up the other one later on in the show. So I'm going to read from my Cliff's Notes version of this just to carry us through here. On Thursday, the 11th of September, Brazil's Supreme Court announced its findings that ex-President Jair Bolsonaro, also known as the Trump of the tropics.
Oh, God.
Oh, yeah. It was found guilty for his involvement in an attempted coup in January. He has been sentenced to 27 years in prison. Now, by way of background to this, Brazil has a long history of this kind of thing, of coups. Since its founding as a republic, there have been 27 separate coups or attempted coups that occurred. So that gives you an idea of, that's kind of the normal way you change government in that country. Anyway, one of the unexpected results of most previous coup trials is that the courts have opted for what's called a non-controversial turning the page finding in order to preserve peace. So while they may find people guilty, they won't put anything other than trivial sentences on them. An example of this is the leaders of the junta, which ruled in Brazil from 69 through 85, which was a junta which perpetrated any number of rampant human rights abuses, including torture, extrajudicial executions, disappearances, and so on. Anyway, all the people who were found guilty, and that wasn't all of them, but the ones who were, either got off with no or extremely light punishments like fines and you can't run for public office again, sort of thing. That's why this particular trial, which sentenced him to 27 years in prison, and given his age, that probably means he will live out the remainder of his life in prison, is significant. Anyway, following the announcements of the sentence, large protests occurred in Sao Paulo, and notably, they were displaying the U.S. flag as Bolsonaro followers see him as kind of the Trump and themselves as the MAGA organization of Brazil. Trump and MAGA are their inspirations. Trump himself expressed great surprise and compared Bolsonaro's witch hunt trial to the various trials and impeachments that he's gone through.
Oh, of course he would.
Yeah, he immediately imposed a 50% tariff on all Brazilian goods and vaguely threatened a military response against Brazil to protect free speech in that country.
Wow.
Jesus.
Fox News warned that this verdict could be a, quote, harbinger of things to come against the conservative movement in the United States.
Oh, come off it.
Yeah. And Elon Musk, who has ties to Bolsonaro because he helped fund his run for presidency before he lost and staged or tried to stage this coup. So he hasn't had any comments on the verdict, but he's involved in this. And the reason I think this particular story is important is because it kind of showcases the links that all these authoritarian autocratic leaders around the globe, the oligarch wannabes, if you will, have with one another. Their allegiance is less to country than it is to their particular social class. And so anything that forwards others around the globe to taking power, if they have their same kind of sentiments, is seen as a good thing, which they should be help fostering. Anyway, that's the story. I thought it was worthwhile to bring to people's attention because I know it got very little airplay here in the U.S.
So there's do you think is this a new thing that's going to continue, or did they change everything to a huge sentence just for this specific incident? And is this all like left versus right politics, or is there enough people in the government of the country that are like, no, this was so much worse, we're screwing this guy?
Okay, so Brazil has a fairly stark division between the haves and the have-nots. And because it's a relatively small portion of the nation, that includes what we would view in this country as middle class are considered the haves.
Okay.
And, the favelas are in the country are famous. The level of poverty, particularly in the inland areas along the Amazon and such, those are notoriously underserved provinces. They get very little wealth, and what there is often goes hand in hand with lots of corruption in terms of there'll be laws in place to protect clear cutting and prevent the rainforest from being harvested, and yet it's happening because the people who are running those businesses just pay off the authorities to be able to do this kind of stuff.
Yeah, right.
So I suspect that the court was trying to send a message. The vote was 4-1 in favor of conviction and this sentence. The one guy who went against it apparently launched into reading his, I don't know what you call it, the disputing opinion. I can't remember the proper term. I'm sorry. But we have it, our Supreme Court does it, dissenting opinion. Sorry.
Right. That's it. Yeah.
Anyway, his dissenting opinion, and he was required to read it, took 11 hours to read.
Jesus.
Yes.
People say I talk a lot.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. Well,
Anyway,
we're going to get you to do the audiobook version.
Yeah.
I think the liberal voices on the court wanted to send a message that the authoritarians trying to seize power was not something they were going to tolerate, that the country could not tolerate. If you want to get elected, nobody's going to make an issue with that. But if you're trying to seize power through violent means, and I think there were 17 other convictions handed down from this particular case of lesser people in the coup cell, and they were all similarly very harsh punishments. So,
right. Wow.
So the United States just sent 5 F-35s to Puerto Rico. This is joining an order for 10 to be deployed there. The consensus is that this is probably preparing to, or at a minimum, it's to rattle Venezuela, saber rattling against Venezuela and saying that we're going to attack them. Is there a possibility that this is preparing for an attack on Brazil and that Trump actually is thinking of doing something like that?
Intense.
I think his comment, that I'm considering military action to protect free speech in Brazil, that's just him blowing smoke out his ass. He does that all the time, and I don't think there's any real weight behind the comment.
It's very difficult to actually decide who do you bomb to protect an ideology.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. No, I think if they're staging stuff into Puerto Rico and other places, it's definitely focused on Venezuela, not Brazil. But to say that Trump and his fellow oligarch wannabes are upset by this finding would, I think, be a fair statement.
Yeah. Sounds like it.
I think on the right, it is ironic. I love how you pointed this out, which is on the right, like for Fox News, they're all worried about it. It's like, wait a minute, if Obama were in power, nobody on the left would be sitting there going, oh my God, somebody's going to overthrow Obama. The reason they're worried about it is because they can see the parallels between the dictatorship in Brazil but there have been a few people on the left who have said, hey, if Brazil can overcome the tyranny in themselves, is this like an Arab Spring kind of thing where maybe the U.S. could? Do you think there's any hope for that, or this is just this? I mean, yay Brazil if they can keep it, but it's Brazil, it's not the U.S.
I think our courts have been trying to do that. The trouble is that Heritage Foundation and the rest of them worked very, very carefully and very hard to make sure that they stacked the Supreme Court 6-3 with, their bubbas. And it's going to take quite a while before those bubbas are dropped down to numbers where we actually have something roughly equivalent to a fair and impartial court.
Yeah. Yeah, there was a lot of groundwork done over the years to make sure that this moment could happen properly, right? Sorry, Nick, go ahead.
Yeah.
No, that's what I was gonna. I mean, the coup that they've managed to pull, I had noticed that there was a conservative takeover of the court and of Congress. What I didn't notice until it was too late was that there was a MAGA takeover of all 3 branches of government.
Yeah.
It's not a conservative court. It's a MAGA court. It is a far right court. It is not a conservative Congress. Johnson is not a conservative speaker. And I didn't notice that until it was too late. Not that I could have done anything if I knew
all
sooner.
3 of Trump's appointees everybody has questioned their ability to serve as Supreme Court judges because they have so little experience in that field. They were appointed not because they were good, jurists. They were appointed because they were loyal to the cause.
Yeah, the lapdogs.
I like beer. Oh, that's a great endorsement for why you should be on the.
Yeah.
Well, and it's nice to see a little blowback on that with Kash Patel, because Hegseth's job before Secretary of Defense was Fox News host. I think there should be something in between the two.
Yeah.
I think there should be something military related where you're getting shot at in between. Yeah.
I think you got to work at Nickelodeon first.
But
yeah, I mean, to be a Fox News host, I don't think you have to have a high school diploma.
Yeah, I don't think you have to have any. Yeah, I think it counts against you if you've got a high school diploma.
I saw a photo once of, I don't think it was all, but it was a large showing of the female commentators and hosts. And it was eye-opening because I'd never noticed this before. With the exception of like 2 or 3 of them, they were all blonde white women. Brunettes, maybe an Asian, I don't remember. And that was it. Everybody else was blonde, white. Does that tell you what Fox is aiming at?
Yeah, very much.
Target audience?
Yeah.
They're now saying, at least in the case of Kash Patel, maybe competency would be important at the head of FBI, because they're saying that basically the FBI completely bungled catching this guy. And the FBI's response, I love this. No, we didn't bungle it at all. We put out the pictures of the guy that allowed his family to realize who it was and turn him in for us. It's like, you guys, they did nothing but release the photo of the guy and let them. And that's literally their argument. And right now, the calling on the MAGA side for the firing of Kash Patel, because literally the FBI did nothing but release the photo. They had nothing. And twice they caught somebody they thought was the guy. And Kash Patel said, he's caught, we've got him. And it turns out, no. And anybody with any experience would not have said that.
Not that I'm a great fan of the man, but J. Edgar must be spinning in his grave about that.
Oh, yeah.
In a dress.
Yeah. Who would have thought that the FBI could devolve into an Archie comic this fast?
Jesus, yeah.
Yes.
It's unbelievable.
Absolutely.
So let me dig one out of the old reserve here and see what I can find for us, because we got an interesting story here. I very much follow tech news, right to repair, ownership and stuff. And one of the things that you're really starting to hear right now in that scene is companies being very, very naughty when it comes to honoring warranties. This is another big one. Razer and a few of the other computer accessory companies and stuff have been really bad about this. And Apple is getting worse and worse about it. So a woman in British Columbia, Canada here decided enough is enough because this is stupid, took Apple to court and won. Yeah, and this is the kind of precedent we need so that things can start moving forward, right? So here's how it goes. She claimed $2,000 in damages because of what she believed was a defective MacBook Pro. She had bought it brand new directly from Apple, and within a year, she noticed cracks in the screen. Like when watching a movie, if you got a certain color behind, you could literally see like a spider web coming, right? It was completely damaged. And so she went back to Apple, and it was within the first year of what they call Apple Care, the full warranty. But they didn't honor the warranty, and she had to pay. So they paid, got the laptop fixed, and it happened again. So this time, they said, no, not covered under warranty. And these people had enough. So the laptop had an update physically. So they figured, okay, look, just so you can have a working laptop, we'll buy you a new one, but we're going to take them to court. So they filed in, trying to find it here on the thing. It's one of those articles. Sorry. I had everything highlighted with one of those Chrome plugins that lets you highlight stuff, and they must have like updated where a comma was or something, and as soon as they do that, it screws it up and everything's wrong, right? So
you didn't use the black FBI highlighter pen then?
yeah, unfortunately, no. Yeah, Cash took mine back. That sucks.
I can totally. Well, no. What Cash does is he does it on the screen. He's just like he does the highlighting on the screen and
then scroll up.
He's like, oh my god.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I need to have a new screen.
Yeah. That's the new tech they got at the FBI, right? Can you make it so this guy has a mustache? They just draw one on the screen.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, they go to the White House and borrow the black Sharpie.
Yeah.
It can dictate the weather. It certainly can dictate how people's physical appearance looks.
I sincerely hope that Sharpie ends up in the Smithsonian. I think that Sharpie should be in this. Just like 200 years from now, this is the Sharpie that the loony president at the time thought could actually change the weather.
Yeah. That is a good call. I hope they do save that one.
We are distracting Dick story. Get on with it.
Yeah. So if I go back here, they filed the lawsuit against them. Apple showed up totally arrogant with nothing to back up their claims at all, except an internal little memo from somebody that said, warranty denied, user damage. These guys had all kinds of photos of the thing and whatnot. There was not a nick on that laptop. There's no sign of impact, pressure, anything been done to it. So here's a little blurb from the judge. Evidence from the service provider supported the applicant's position as there appeared to be no physical damage and no sign of external damage was found, suggesting the laptop had been damaged in any way by the user. Apple also provided its own internal record, which says the MacBook was repaired after suffering impact damage from a drop or a hit. This is a quote from the judge. I place no weight on this document because Apple did not explain who made this record or what information it was based on. Impact damage is not noted in any of Apple's TLD reports, and there is no evidence that any Apple employee examined this MacBook in any way. I find that Apple's internal record is self-serving and unreliable. And then upped the award to make sure that all costs were covered, so it ended up being like $2,600 or whatever it is. Now, there's this going thing. You might have seen this online already. People are using Clippy, the old Microsoft thing, as their avatar. Clippy as your avatar is a way of showing that you are somebody who's had enough of people selling you a wireless video recording doorbell only to say, oh, sorry, no longer free cloud. You're going to have to pay us $19.95 a month to even use the damn thing. And being against this anti-repair stuff where they try to make you just give up and buy a new computer, against this, selling you a game that has a first person, not online needed mission game on your PC, but they shut down the servers and you can't even play your game. The Clippy is a sign that you're somebody who's had enough and you're no longer going to support with your wallet companies that do that stuff.
But it goes beyond that, Dick.
Sure.
I have in-laws who are farmers in.
Oh, this is a big area. Yep.
Yeah. And I'm not going to talk about the whole genetic modified material thing. That's a separate issue.
Yeah.
I'm just talking about they've changed the contract so that when you buy a harvester or a tractor or whatever,
yep,
you must take it back to that dealership to get any repairs. I mean, literally to the point of changing a flat tire.
Yeah. Dave,
Because the moment you do something yourself or have somebody else do work on it, you invalidate warranty and they will no longer cover anything.
it even goes
Such
further than
bullshit.
that, Commander, because they'll take an item like a hydraulic pump. It now has an electrical connection. So if you change the hydraulic pump that's on the tractor, and let's face it, you could buy any number of them and it would work just fine. It won't even operate until they plug the computer in to authorize that pump to work. There's no way that should be legal to do to us. There is no way. Once you buy it, it's yours. If you want to, change the hubs, change the tires and all, there should be not. I can't stand it. It has to be fought.
Yeah. And they're also, for farmers too, aren't they selling seeds now? They won't sell seeds for crops where the crops will have their own seeds on it. They're selling the crops where the crops are sterile. Therefore, you have to rebuy the seeds every single year.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a whole other massive issue. That is.
Yeah, that's why I said I didn't want to cover that with this. It's actually worse because if you never purchased and never planted that particular genetically modified crop, and a bee goes and is over in Farmer Brown's field here and comes over to your field and accidentally fertilizes one of your plants with that particular GMO, you are now liable for your entire crop as being contaminated with GMO, and you owe the company that made that particular strain. You have to pay them.
Yeah. Who came up with this policy? YouTube?
The freaking agricultural companies, the freaking companies that run, cars and trucks and tractors. Everybody's trying to find another way to suck your money out of your pocket into their giant coffers.
Yeah.
Well, kill all bees. We're working on that anyway, so that's right.
Yeah.
71 says Monsanto, but they're just the worst offender of multiple companies that do this kind of shit.
True enough. They have the whole genetics thing with the spray and the seed and all that going on really good, but they're not the only player in this total deceit, right? It's crazy. I just need 1 second briefly. So, Dave, did you want to go and then Dunk will go after yourself? Is that how we're going to do it?
Sure thing. If you need to jump, that's fine. I was going to remind everyone about the fundraiser.
Please do.
Well, if you need to put anything up on the screen, you'll have to do that later. There is a fundraiser, I do believe. There is some monies for the moderators and people in the background that actually make this happen, and they've been doing it for ages. And they basically, they're whipped, they're chained, they're down in the dungeon, and we just felt bad. We just felt bad after a while because we just need to look after them a bit better.
Well, Dick didn't.
Yeah. Well, no, obviously.
No,
it's his dungeon.
He's the one.
And I assume that this fundraiser is for upgrading, like the flogging machine.
The massive butt plug. No, we are trying to have PJ seen that given a new cybernetic anus. That's one of the prime fundraising parts. But because his last anus transplanted rejected. So
dare I make a Kickstarter joke and call it a stretch goal? But yeah.
Anyway, get on with your story, you silly numpty.
Oh yes, of course. Yes. So that's links in the description, links in chat. So this is a variety bucket you're getting here. So I've got a fun one. My topic is shrinkflation as a general topic, not a specific newsy thing. Paying more for less, right? So now that the kids are back at school, you can't go 5 minutes without the supermarkets reminding you of an event that's happening throughout the year, like Valentine's Day or St. Paddy's Day or Easter or Father's Day, Mother's Day. creepy uncle day, whatever day it's going to be.
Tuesday.
Right? Yeah. So we'll have a St. Dave's Day eventually, once we get a groundswell. But in case anyone got too distracted by the world recently, the big event that's coming up in 6 weeks is Halloween. And of course, what used to happen is we all used to have these really big chocolate tins that was the size of sheds. And now they're tiny, and you get maybe like 4 chocolates,
Mhm.
4 of each chocolate, I should say. Not 4 chocolates, I haven't got that far yet, but it's maybe next year. So yeah, I just wanted to know, because we've got a variety of perspectives in terms of ages, generations, different parts of the world. What's your pet peeve when it comes to, over the years, shrinkflation, getting less for your money?
Oh, I can tell you straight away. One of the worst things is when you get like a microwave meal, and okay, they haven't put the prices up, but you get the microwave meal and you cook it and eat it and go, bloody hell, I'm still hungry.
Yeah.
I could have eaten 2 of those. What would happen? Because it used to be fine. It'd be enough to sate your hunger pangs enough. But these days, you just like finish it. And it's like, well, where the fuck was it? It's just.
Yeah, there is a good point to that. There's no point in shrinking it to the point where it's no longer fulfills what the product's supposed to be, right? If it's not a meal, it's not a meal.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, we can whine about chocolates and the size of the chocolates, but if you get a meal and it's just, it used to be like 500 grams and now it's 400, well, that's 100 grams less.
Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly. I have a good example of that, actually, where McDonald's now, at least in the UK, probably everywhere else, do a mini McFlurry, which is about half the size of the normal McFlurry.
Right.
But the if you get like every month or so, they'll do a special. So it's like a Cadbury's, whatever, like a Jaffa cake one, and it's £2.50. £2.50. It used to be £1. It used to be 99 pence.
Exactly. That dog is crying you a river, buddy.
Tell us how you really feel.
There's always one.
That was timing beyond amazing.
Nick, I think I cut you off there.
Oh yeah, I was going to say that the calorie counts on those too. It used to be actually that they were concerned about the calorie counts, and at least that you would get 2,000 calories a day. But for a lot of the frozen, it's now like if you were to have the breakfast, lunch, and dinner ones, it's below 2,000. You cannot actually, a human being cannot sustain on the amount of calories, and that they've gone below the minimum required to survive. It's insane.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all diet food now, except for the fat and sugar content, right? Because there's not enough.
Yeah. Well, they label it diet, so they've labeled it diet to justify the reduction in size, but they haven't changed the ingredients.
Yeah, exactly.
Beyond that, an example for I think it really highlights the problem is ice cream. So the containers that they used to sell ice cream in were, let's say, a quart.
Yeah.
Well, they've now shrunk down to a quart minus 2 ounces or something.
Yeah.
But more to the point, they're also injecting more air into the mix that's used so that it's fluffier. You'll like this better. So you're not only getting less, you're getting less.
Yeah.
Hey, do you know who invented that? That was Margaret Thatcher. Invented that when she was a food tech before it became political.
Wow.
Wouldn't surprise me in the least.
I got 2 on this here. Number 1, when I was a kid, I didn't get soaked when I opened up a package of lunch meat or a package of hot dogs, but there's so much excess water now that you have to pour it out. So the weight is meaningless on the package anyway. And of all the products that they could shrink, why not condoms? Because I'd feel better about it.
Well, they only sell them in packs of 1 for you, so
and I've had it a long time.
Well, and
Yeah.
they're turning the quote shrinkage, and use that term as appropriate, into a feature now. So it's like with Gatorade. They're like, well, now it's easier to hold because what they've done is they've taken the bottles and made them slimmer in the middle, and they say that's so that you can hold it better.
Yeah.
Which is true. You actually can hold it better, but that's not why they slimmed the middle. It's to cut out a whole bunch of ounces. So the price is the same. And they're like, we've done this as a favor to you. So it's exactly like Commander's, oh, it's fluffier. It's like they find a way to rebrand.
Mars
before
Mars is. Let me move on that one because Mars is probably the worst culprit of that because they're the people who invented the fun size bar.
Oh yeah,
and now you're not. If you bought if you had in your vault some old fun size bars and put them out as next to a modern day Mars bar, whatever, they're the same size. The Mars bar is now the same size as the fun size, and nobody's having any fun anymore.
Yeah, if we can flip this around to Halloween now, if you took Halloween candy little bars from when I was a kid and compared them to chocolate bars that we get now, the normal size one, you'd be shocked at how similar they are in size, I do believe.
Yeah, Toblerone was another famous one where they made the gaps between the triangles bigger.
Yeah. I don't even have Toblerone and I'm pissed off about that.
I remember being a kid, you'd snap off a triangle and there wouldn't be that much of an edge. But now, it's like you broke off a pylon or something, it's like you're going to put it down and your train set,
I go to McDonald's and I'm just like, could I please have the diabetic coma size, please? Is that available or no? Okay.
I thought that was just a normal portion in America.
It is. It used to be. That's the problem. Is it used to be? Now it's like
you've been shrunk down to UK sizes now.
So, Dunk, is it your go then?
Yeah. Well, I got a few stories here. I'm just wondering which one to take you with. Let's take you with this one. Except where's it gone?
Did the Sharpie move? Somebody scrolled up on the
Sharp. There we go. I got
Monkey ran away with his homework.
let me just grab this image so old Doofus can bring it up. By Doofus I mean Dick. So we got now this plan for crash-proof planes, and they're not designed just for Boeing. So they're going to just wrap planes up in giant airbags. So now a pair of engineers believe they have found a solution, but they had to look back on the ground for it. Inspired by
Lance's face. Can we get a screenshot of Commander's face? I'm sorry, I just
inspired by the
it's like, what are you supposed to say? Don't worry, honey. Once it goes in, it inflates. I mean, it's what?
Inspired by the crash of Air India 171 3 months ago, Project Rebirth is an aircraft survival system designed to anticipate the crash. The AI suspects something may go wrong, such as engine failure, and it deploys a massive airbag cocoon to cushion the aircraft.
Do you imagine? You one day you're sitting on the porch, it's sunset, you're sitting with your wife, and this 747 just goes bouncing down the road. At least it didn't crash.
But it won't, because the velocity that any aircraft is flying, it's going to tear that thing to shreds.
Yeah. This is, this was two engineers at a bar, and one of them worked at Boeing, and the other said, "Hey, you don't have to build them better. I got a great idea."
Yeah. This is reminiscent of a scene in some joke movie I saw. Huh? No. It has the one I'm talking about has nothing to do with aircraft, but it was a food service industry trade show, and they're walking through the trade show, and they come up on this guy who's sitting in his little square booth area, except there's no booth. It's just him sitting in a lawn chair with a cooler that he's, got his stuff in.
Uh-oh.
selling? And he says, well, I'm a professional taster. And, for $100,000, I'll taste your food that your restaurant is serving and tell you if it's any good. And the guy looks at him and says, do you actually make money doing this? All it takes is one. And that, as soon as I saw it, that's what popped through my mind is all it takes is one airline company moron president who doesn't understand his own industry. Yeah. And yep, here we go. We're going to spend, $500 million to outfit all our planes with.
So I'm assuming Boeing has already bought it then.
Well, it makes them boing along the runway. Boing. Boing.
Yeah, we can actually.
Carolina, the one in Washington won't touch it.
This looks exactly. There's a scene in Airplane where there's an airplane that's got the beard and it's got like a hoodie on.
Air Israel.
That's what it. Yeah, Air Israel. That was it, and it looks like that. And I'm sitting there going, when your product looks like it's out of a spoof movie, you've got a really bad. But you can't tell the difference between. Like Leslie Nielsen loved this product. Is all I'm saying.
Yeah,
and, I think you should. Yeah.
Well, if Leslie Nielsen had anything to do with the design, as it comes in to land on these cushions, it's going to make fart noises all along the runway.
Yeah.
You like gladiator movies?
Oh, that's funny. Okay, so where are we here? Coming up on an hour. Everybody's had a turn, and we can do second turns. Does everybody have a second turn?
I do.
All right.
Let's go for it. I'm up for hearing Commanders. Yeah.
Awesome.
Okay.
Commanders up.
I will bore you to death with yet another.
Hooray!
Oh, you don't need one of these stories to bore us to death, Commander. Don't worry.
Thank you for that photo content.
Just the image on screen does enough.
So on 12 September, that was Friday, the U.S. suspended talks with Kosovo, which is a Serb-controlled group, the country, for inciting instability and attempting to raise tensions. The February elections in Kosovo are still contested, and so there is no functioning government seated. Prime Minister-elect Albin Kurti rejected the requirement for a Serb to be the new deputy speaker. This because the constitution of the country requires one Kosovar and one Serb to be basically co-equal speakers. Oh. And he's saying, no, we're Kosovo. We're only going to have Kosovar speakers. We don't need any more Serbs. And he blamed Serb President Aleksandar Vučić of creating separate parallel government in North Kosovo, essentially trying to split the country into two separate halves.
Oh.
Yeah. At the same time, this is a whole series of same times, Bosnia and Herzegovina, which is that plus a smaller Serb sub-republic, which is part of the country to protect the minority Serb population. The Serb Republic, which is headed by a guy named Milorad Dodik, who is a suspended president, he is attempting to secede his portion of the country to reunite with Serbia. And this is all interesting because when you start tracking back, who's pushing all these agendas to rejoin with Serbia? Who's pushing these agendas to essentially reject the 1995 Dayton Accords? Well, Mr. Dodik met with Russian Foreign Minister Lavrov on the 9th of September in Moscow.
Can I hit the button here?
Sure.
Dave, Commander was speaking.
All right.
Yeah, go ahead, Commander. I had to get that in there because that was the Shills way of reacting to that revelation right there.
And it's the same thing with our friend in the Kosovo area. So Russia is actively behind all of this stuff. They're trying to get the Balkans to fall back into the same level of chaos, ethnic cleansing, mass murders, etc., than it was before, so that NATO will get distracted, have to send forces to go deal with that, and then won't have anybody, available to watch what they're doing on the border, and can't provide aid to Ukraine and so forth.
Right.
So, and it goes beyond these two places I just mentioned with Kosovo and Bosnia. And now Montenegro is also having its bid to join the EU challenged by the Serb political faction in that country and the Serbian Orthodox Church. Got to get the religion people in there. That's important because the Serb Orthodox Church has ties to which other Orthodox church?
It wouldn't be Greek, would it?
About this for a moment.
Would it be Greek, Commander?
It might be, but I think it starts with the letter R. Let's think.
Yeah. He must be. He's putting me
on the tip of my tongue.
Yeah. I was thinking of the root of it all.
Anyway, the reason I bring this up is it's something that's been going on for months and gets very little airplay in the news, but it's yet another sign of Russia trying to destabilize the region for its imperial ambitions. What a surprise.
Commander, is there also a complete and total disinformation campaign going on about these events as well? Have you seen any signs of that as you were looking into this?
Well, for the U.S., probably not, because it
wouldn't be worth their time here. Yeah, exactly.
It wouldn't be worth their time to discuss. But I know when I was researching this, a lot of people were saying, there's a very strong movement, particularly in Germany, to spin this to make it look like it's not Serbia/Russia's fault. It's all, the Jewish conspiracy and all this stuff that's trying to cause these problems.
Right.
Maybe we live in interesting times.
Oh, it's doing it just doing a show like this. I mean, with that exact story, it gives you more layers to the onion on what Putin and the circle, that whole Legion of Doom dome that he's trying to build. Man, that onion, that's not a single layer dome. It's got some layers, right?
Yeah, I mean, we know that they're doing the same kind of thing, spinning stories in sub-Saharan Africa, in India, Southeast Asia, all around the world. They're trying to make it look that, the West, and in particular the U.S., are the bad guys, and only Russia's standing up for the rights of the little guy and so forth.
Yeah. Well, I mean, at this point in history, they've got a good point.
Yeah. Yeah. I know you're being facetious, but there's some truth to that.
Yeah,
I'm not entirely wrong.
Yeah, I'm partially not. I know it's a jokey thing to say, but hell's bells.
Yeah. The meat on the orange he threw had some hit to it.
They are and they're not, because the reality is only if you consider Trump to be independent, if you consider Trump to be basically an agent of one way or another of Russia, that it's still there. Anything that he does is their influence as well.
Yeah, that's true. And we should, at this point, everything Trump is so awful and terrible and hammered with gold leaf, but that's a good reminder, Nick, to make sure that we do understand that they own that piece of shit. And right,
Yeah, no, they do. It's important to realize that both it's highly likely that they've got compromat on him, and we have some idea of probably when they obtained it and roughly what it is.
Oh dear, yes, we do.
That notwithstanding, on top of the compromat, which would be sort of punishment incentive. Behave poorly, and we will apply a pain to you, which is the release of the compromat. That notwithstanding, he owes the Bank of Moscow something like $22 billion, if I recall, 22 billion. So there's the incentive of A, getting more money, and B, not having to pay that back. So that's, well, what is it, a negative reinforcement as opposed to positive reinforcement. And then they have their own positive reinforcement as well. So there's a lot of pressure on Trump of different kinds to incentivize proper behavior, carrot and stick, incentivize proper behavior according to Putin, and disincentivize getting out of line.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's funny. On that topic, there's times when you hear Donald do his whole, I'm upset with Putin, 2 weeks and blah, blah, and whatnot. And in that moment, I think he actually believes that he is going to call up Vladimir Putin and go, rawr, rawr, rawr. But as soon as he makes that call, he just goes, no, sir, I own you. But I think Donald is so lost and confused on what's truly going on that he actually believes it in that moment when he says it. I do. It makes it even more sad because the man's obviously senile, right?
Well, I think he's very much. I think Commander has said this before, and I like his take on it, which is that he's a wannabe dictator. He's really a wannabe dictator.
Yeah.
But he is qualitatively incapable of doing it. It's not that he has to up anything that he does. He doesn't have the brain for it. He doesn't have the chops for it. He enjoys the bullying part of it. He likes that part of it, but he doesn't have the ability to really do it. And so he thinks he can. He thinks he can get into a room with Putin, and he will ultimately beat Putin. And it's Putin is playing chess and Trump is eating the checkers.
The interesting thing about a lot of dictators is they have a certain amount of charisma. I mean, bad as they are, okay, we can put that to one side. But there's a certain amount of charisma that's there, and Trump's charisma is fucking awful. He just doesn't have any.
No,
I disagree.
Okay,
I think he's got charisma, but what?
I'm with Nick on this.
Yeah, no, you're right, because charisma, yes, he has. It may not be the kind of charisma that appeals to the people on this panel, but is that where you're going, Nick? Yeah.
Yes, that's exactly where I was going.
Yeah, I just want to jump in there. I think I heard something somewhere where you could divide politicians into charismatic or charming. So Obama was very charming, right? But Trump is charismatic. He's just this big sort of rallies and all the rest of it. But Obama doesn't do that. He sort of has that soft power that like a monarchy has,
Yeah, I see what you're going at.
Interesting. Yeah.
I stand corrected.
Interesting distinction. Yeah, I do think, unfortunately, he is charismatic if he was, but it is in the Bush way, like, you want to have a beer with him, they say, or whatever it is. And that's part of, and it gets back to, oh God, I hate the what is it, the Gershwin principle or whatever it is, where I'm going to bring this back to Hitler, but that was the other thing that people don't realize is that, and I think Commander will back me up on this. A lot of people thought Hitler was an idiot, and they said, well, he's a nice guy you'd want to have a beer with, but he's an idiot, and that's why we like him, is because he's never going to pull the wool over our eyes. He's never going to really be able to do anything. And so, and then
he was a teetotal, so you can't have a beer with him.
When they got back, oh, sorry, Commander, go ahead.
I think it's a little more nefarious than that. It's not a direct corollary, but I think there's an aspect of Svengali-like thinking and behavior on this part, where the charismatic leader, unless you're with the guy in person, that charisma doesn't really capture you. But when you're in his presence, it's like it's almost hypnotic. And you listen to people who've talked to others that are like this kind of charismatic leader who his people just fawn over them, when they're in his presence. But when they get away, they're all kind of vaguely left. Why did I think that?
Well, look at this. There's a really good set of shows, The History of the World, done by Andrew Marr, Brit guy, right? And
Mel Brooks.
yeah. He makes a really good point in his part of the show when he's talking about World War One into World War II and so on. And after World War One, Hitler trying to raise opinions and whatnot just came across as a strange little angry man. It took him a little while to evolve the charismatic character that became the guy who could, blindfold half a nation into going along with, shit they never would have, right?
And it wasn't natural. He practiced that. There is a series. You'd have to look online to find it, but there was a series of photographs that he had taken of him doing different poses and gestures, which he would use when he was speaking. And he used this series of photographs to analyze which ones had the most impact on the audience.
Yeah, and he got rid of the ones where him in Lederhosen. He thought they
yeah.
Unless he was in Bavaria, campaigning in Bavaria.
Any more on that one? Should we go to another, or what do you guys want to do?
Let's spin the wheel.
All right. We've got the wheel thing that we could use next time. And everybody bring in like 2 articles. We'll put them on the wheel and we'll just spin and see where it lands.
No, you can't do that because it'll just come back to, we did that story first.
No, but you can take them off. Damn it. Yeah, but you can take them off as you go. And I have a little secret thing where I can weight it to a certain person's thing if it just seems to fit together or something. I can cheat.
You're a cheat. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, here. I've got one here. So there's a growing thing, and I mean growing. This is in Hollywood. And writers, directors, actors, all kinds are absolutely fed up with this Israel-Gaza situation, and they are now boycotting Israeli film institutions and so on.
Oh, wow.
Not completely, but they have a list that says that these companies are sort of complicit with things as they are right now, and they don't like it. Here's a quote. As filmmakers, actors, film industry workers, and institutions, we recognize the power of cinema to shape perceptions. In this urgent moment of crisis where many of our governments are enabling the carnage in Gaza, we must do everything we can to address complicity in that unrelenting horror.
And we should point out it's not because they're pro-Hamas.
No. Nobody's pro anything other than life and not like
humanity.
Yeah, right. This is it. Like the idea of Hamas and all these old arguments, nobody's addressing any of that. They're just addressing the fact that this is just one-sided now. The
UN has declared a famine. It's a famine.
Netanyahu is basically gone in and said, right, well, we're just having it now. We're having Gaza. That's ours now.
Well, he's doing what Trump said. Yeah. Right. So now there's a huge list of people here, and a lot of these names I couldn't get around my tongue to save my life. I'm a bit of a simpleton when it comes to names. Why can't everybody be Steve? You know what I mean? But
Steve McQueen.
Yeah, there you go. See, but to give you a few that at least you'll know, you got Mark Ruffalo, Tilda Swinton. Let's see here. Rebecca Hall, Deborah Winger, Joaquin Phoenix, Rooney Mara. Let's see here. Emma Stone.
I'm just doing all the Steves to make it easy for you.
Well, thank you. Guy Pearce. See, I can say that one really good. But it just goes on and on and on and on and on. There's thousands of names on this list. And this list of signatures has only been up for like 24 hours or something. And every time this website gets updated, there's another 1,000 signatures on it. It's just growing and growing and growing. Now, there's that old, well, the Jews own Hollywood and blah, blah, and whatnot, right?
Oh, no.
Yeah, well, it's true. There's that old stupid stereotype and BS,
Yeah.
but you do get a lot of Jewish sounding names as producers and stuff. And well, it turns out that a lot of them are really good in entertainment. I don't think there's a conspiracy there. The reason I bring this stupid ass crap up is I think this is going to actually affect Hollywood. Right? Now, this isn't the most easy topic, but we've decided we're not going to hold back around here. At least I have. So, what do you guys think on this? I know for me, the whole idea of somehow Gaza being a threat right now is just a joke, and it's also ugly and disgusting. And where we are right now is just not the way humans are supposed to be.
I think there must be an awful lot of American Jews who are finding it very, very difficult to align themselves with Israel.
I would change my name to Brooks.
Yeah, well, no, don't. Well, yeah, he's not Jewish at all. Yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah. Oh, sorry, you lost my train of thought now.
Sorry, dude. Sorry. Shit. Anybody want to even try to take on that?
I think it's fairly uncontroversial to say let's stop killing children. Right? Is that like beyond the pale? Can we start there?
You haven't never had any, so you don't know what it's like.
Yeah, you're not living in the U.S., are you?
No, but I have worked in schools, so
little bastards.
Yeah.
Well, but we have school shootings, and we haven't done anything about that. So
no.
I think. I mean, I don't know. You had said that it's going to affect Hollywood. It's interesting. There's a conversation that's long overdue anyway, which is, can you contradict or say that Israel and or somebody who's Jewish has done something wrong and not be anti-Semitic? Because in the U.S. for a very long time, contradicting anything that was Israeli or Jewish was necessarily anti-Semitic. They could do no wrong. Now, it's exposing itself to be so powerful that 2.1 million people can be starving to death deliberately in order to prevent. Somebody did a military analysis of what actually Hamas is right now capable of. And if they were to make any kind of attack, they might be able to kill a couple hundred people, maybe, if they put everything they've got into it. Israel is therefore... and Israel has said, well, because they're still a threat and they could kill some people, we need to take these actions. So Israel is justifying the starving and murdering of 2 million people to protect, ostensibly, worst case scenario, a couple of hundred. Yeah. That is absolutely insane. And we all know it.
Damn right.
It's hard to... I don't know that it's that hard or brave to stand up and say that, because it's so obvious. What's concerning is
on YouTube is what I was alluding to, right?
It can be, and that's because you can get people who, and the problem isn't actually, ironically, the problem is not right now directly any Jewish influence in the United States.
That's right.
It's the Christian Zionist influence in the United States. And it's the Christian Zionists who are saying we're going to permit this because of X, Y, or Z elements of Christian Zionism. So Trump being a great example of that. Yep. So I think I'm immediately concerned about it, but until you address Christian Zionism in the U.S., you're not going to change anything. So it's the Christian Zionists that are culpable for the U.S. sitting on the sidelines and or encouraging and giving weapons to Netanyahu to engage in genocide. This is the state of Israel engaging in genocide deliberately, with everybody watching, everybody pointing it out, and the United States shielding them to the best of their ability from it being called a genocide in the UN and anywhere else where they can do that. It is.
And can I say, if anybody knows better, like, hello? Just, like,
Yep.
It's just
And I'm actually a little surprised at Trump for it, because while I detest Trump, he actually really is against war. And this is just one of those things where he does try to stop.
he doesn't have the ankles for it, right?
But, which suggests to me that Netanyahu has something on him. The evidence that Epstein at least worked with, thank you, Mossad, is extraordinarily strong. So my suspicion is that whether or not Trump would want to stop it, and his pattern suggests he'd actually try to stop it.
I agree.
He's not doing it, and he's not doing it because something is stopping him. And my suspicion is Netanyahu has something on him, and it's just another example of we have a compromised president, and he's compromised by the Russians, he's compromised by Israel.
Is there anyone who doesn't have anything on Trump?
I was going to say, the fact that we've had to come to that conclusion twice in one show is not normal or very settling.
There is another consideration, though, and it's that in American politics, regardless of which side of the fence you're sitting on, there is a common belief that you can't say anything strongly derogatory against Israel, because that dries up one of the most lucrative donor pools you have.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. Follow the money, usually a good one. Yep.
So regardless of what a politician's opinion may be, it's more a matter of, by not saying anything pro Israel's activities in Gaza, that can be construed as being a negative comment, simply because coming out directly and making a negative comment is seen by your party hierarchy as being hugely damaging to your chances in the next upcoming election.
Mm-hmm.
So now silence implies dissent.
Exactly.
There's so much money. It's okay.
The other thing that's really upsetting about all of this sort of thing is just like, okay, Israel is predominantly Jewish. Yeah, okay, no problem. And other states are Arabic or they're Muslim, and it always you always get some kind of fucking asshole in politics. It's like doing shit they're not doing it over religion. But as soon as it comes to conversations, they said, "Oh yeah, you can't not support Israel because then you're being anti-Semitic." No, isn't being Jewish has got nothing to do with it whatsoever.
Exactly.
The same as when you have to go at the Muslims and all this kind of thing. Usually when it comes down to it, it's got nothing to do with it whatsoever.
Yeah. I can be somebody who doesn't agree with a policy of the Israeli government without being an anti-Semite in any way, shape, or form. The idea that can be tossed around as lightly as it is offensive in and of itself.
Well, and pretty soon, at the rate Netanyahu's going, any goodwill that Israel has had from the international community for being the victims of World War II, being the one group that suffered the most in World War II, is gone. And it's like, that's probably not something you want to burn if you're a tiny little isolated country in the Middle East.
A tiny little country in the Middle East that literally had the map drawn on their behalf because of events and stuff. Let's not forget all of the years and decades of conflict due to those decisions, right?
Yeah, and they do have the nicest houses that aren't rubble. So.
Oh, okay. Let's see here. Where are we going? Who's got one? And
Nick's turn.
I got to get going soon. I don't have another one, so I'm gonna bail in about 5 minutes.
Wow. Fuck
yeah,
you.
I've got long enough to like throw bombs at whatever the next one is.
Give us a quickie. Give us a quickie.
Yeah, we're only
okay. Since somebody mentioned it, Nepal. So Nepal is very similar story to Commanders.
Oh yeah, Nepal.
Where, basically the government of Nepal has been overthrown by Gen Z.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all on Discord.
Yeah.
The government is on Discord.
And so they what has happened is that the government of Nepal decided to, when they started to see unrest happening, ban all social media. And Gen Z said, "Oh, fuck you," and burned down the parliament building.
Yeah.
The parliament was literally on fire. All of the government had to flee. I think the economic minister was caught, stripped naked, and dragged through the streets. Most of the others made it to airplanes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. The rest made it to airplanes. Yeah, this was a serious overthrow. This was
It was
not
like France without the guillotines, right? You know?
Yeah. Well, it's funny because when we talked about it, we had to be like, because we're always like, when they say a government has collapsed, usually they mean in the parliamentary sense. You know, it's like,
we can't agree on anything.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah. Like, no, the government, the building, the prime minister's building was also set on fire. It was great. You could see the way it was actually kind of beautiful because they set it on fire from the inside out. So the outside was really nice.
S'mores for everyone.
Well, you could see the warm glow of the fire through the windows, which was really an interesting. So it's like you're on the outside looking in, and you could see the fire.
Wow.
Like the door was open, and you could see the fire deep inside the building.
It's beautiful.
It's full of stars.
And you can see all the new government with their phones. Yo, we're coming at you live from the campfire.
Yeah. Join our Discord.
Here's the problem, which is there hasn't been a leader, to the best of my knowledge, really representing the people who overthrew. So now they're sitting there going like, the remainder of the old government has to sit and work with whatever they can come up with from everyone who overthrew the old government to try to have new elections. And my understanding is they've agreed that they're not going to get rid of the governmental structure in as much as they're not going to sit there and say, okay, we're just going to write a new constitution. But they have to replace basically every member of parliament, because they're all gone now. And so they're trying to figure out how are they going to hold elections? How are they going to come up with some leadership structure? Because they all fled on an airplane, those that weren't being dragged through the streets.
Well, speaking of which, I hear Big Balls and a few ex-Dodgers are on an airplane heading for that government right now.
Yeah, but isn't it true, Nick, that they literally just went to Discord and basically said, right, okay, you choose a new leader, and they chose. It wasn't really much of an election. It was a poll on Discord, and they chose their current leader through a poll on Discord.
Oh my God!
I hadn't even heard that, but Commander's nodding his head, so it looks like Commander may be more up to date on where it is. I haven't followed it since it happened a couple days ago. It wouldn't shock me because it's all Gen Z, and the original problem was the shutdown of social media. But the one thing you're going to have a harder time shutting down is Discord because of the way it works.
Yeah,
you can still shut it down if you know it's there, but anybody in the government, everybody in the government knows what and how to shut down X, Facebook, so on and so forth. Nobody over 40 has ever heard of Discord unless you happen to work in social media somehow.
That's funny.
So you wait for the next American Civil War.
I'm on it frequently.
But you're actually working in social media, right? So that's what you do shows.
Over 40.
Yeah. Unless somebody's working in social media, nobody over 40's heard of Discord. So they all Gen Z takes to it and sits there and they're figuring. So it was literally it was very much a youth overthrowing the government thing.
Now, I know I asked you for a quickie there, Nick, but that is a damn good story.
Yeah. Well, we're just at the hour and a half mark. And for me personally, it's just rounding the bottom half, going up towards 6. My son's home. Got to get some supper stuff and whatnot going. So I think we'll put it in the bin here and just say our farewells and goodbyes. And let's start with Dave and see what he's got to remind you all of in life.
Sure. I like this. This works. This is good.
It's fun, right?
More people. We need hundreds of people, thousands of people.
Watching on the panel.
Yeah, I'm not giving up my seat. It's already shaped to my arse. But no, yeah, it's good to. Well, it's always good to see Commander Macmillan. It's always good to see Dunk, and it's always good to see Dick. So yeah, take care, everybody, and we will see you some other time. Nick,
I'm going right to you then.
Yeah.
Well, somebody asked if Dave was an AI, and I said, well, I agree with the A part, but at any rate,
he's an a-hole.
So thank you all for having me on. Yeah, my channel has been dropped repeatedly. It's in time. It's a news channel. I recognize everybody in the live chat anyway, so my assumption is everybody's got a pretty good idea of who I am and what I'm doing here. And it's been a delight as always. Even, although I'll deny it later, even with Dave, it's been a delight. So thank you guys for having me on.
Yeah, and make sure your mods drop our fucking channel too. You
Who are you again?
Yeah,
Wait, what?
nobody.
I'm not sure either. Commander, what do you think, man?
I think this was a success. I like the format. I like the fact that we're addressing items that we don't normally talk about in other areas. There's not high-profile news items, but news items that I think are worth discussing so that people are aware of them and how they impact our lives, even if indirectly. So, yeah, this is cool. I'm glad we did it.
Excellent. My thoughts exactly, pretty much. Dunk, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm worried. I'm disappointed we didn't get to the fact that my next story was about the 3 nuns who escaped from a retirement home to go back to their convent. But yeah, we'll do that another time. Nuns on the run.
right. Yeah, by next week they'd have been caught. So shame.
Yeah, they're rounded up.
I'm not sure that was the straightest story you could have brought up, but we'll find out how it comes true. Join us next week. We'll be doing this show again on Sunday, 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern, and I believe it would be midnight in the UK.
You got a shout out to do.
Yes, we yes, we do. We got a couple, actually. So Optic in the chat threw in a $2 super sticker with the little pear guy exercising doing Hey You, the BTO song. So that's very cool. You ever notice the little pear guy has the same headband on as the singer from Loverboy? Think about it. And we've also got a shout out for the team. We got Mexi Girl on the Shills account. We got Shayna Caldwell in the chat, PJ CNET, Carpasian The AI Alchemist, Liam Wakefield, and Super Chat Matt. Because without the team, you can't get anywhere in life. And that's what I should show you right now. Oh, where is it here? Somewhere. There it is. We do have a team fundraiser going. UTV and Ham threw in something tonight there, so a huge thanks. We'll get the link in the chat for you again because, a couple of people just found that everything exploded at the wrong times or it's a computer upgrade and, things like that. But thanks for joining us. See you next Sunday and keep your stick on the ice.
And keep your dick in a vice. Stay chilly.
Don't do that.
That hurt.
Yeah.
It's over. Go home. Go.